When it comes to love and marriage, we consider both the D7 and D9. The D7 tends to carry more weight in a woman's chart, whereas the D9 is more important in a man's chart. In the early part of a woman's life, her emotional needs are important and encourage her to build a family and find a suitable partner. And that's why the D7 is ruled by Jupiter, because it indicates the husband in his supporting role. Now, will the husband be a responsible father? Will he be emotionally available and actively involved with raising the children? Will he be loving and kind towards his wife and stand by her side through thick and thin? That we can see in the D7 in a woman's chart. For a man, the D9 plays a more important role in the early part of life. A young man is all in his head, focused on making money and building a name for himself, while a woman is guided more by her emotional world. A man acts based on logic and what he thinks is the best strategy to move forward. The D9 is ruled by Venus because it indicates the big life choices that need to be made, and it also reveals the nature of his wife. And so will his wife be his lifelong partner, following his lead through life's ups and downs? Or will she stop believing in him and be gone one day? That can be seen in the D9 in a man's chart. Now, when men and women reach midlife, which starts, in their 40s, their hormones begin to balance out. At this stage, a woman feels a stronger need to explore her individuality and discover her own purpose, which is shown in the D9. And meanwhile, men slow down and they become more soft with age. They become more emotionally aware and even a bit clingy. They start to realize that they too have emotional needs within the marriage, and how well those needs are met is shown in the D7. And so in this example here, we are going to analyze the chart of a woman, and we begin with the D1, as it reveals the fundamental qualities of her personality and her general life path. And so right away we notice that her life is focused on relationships and on herself, right? With Ketu here in the 7th house and Rahu in the 1st house, there's a strong karmic focus on her partnerships. Ketu in the 7th house draws in partners from past lives, or at least people who feel strangely familiar, as if she has known them forever. And these connections can be intense and comforting at first, but as is typical with Ketu, eventually there can be a sense that the relationship has fulfilled its purpose and the person is ready to move on. Depending on the rest of the chart, Ketu in the 7th house can go to two extremes. It can make a person either completely disinterested in relationships and focus only on their own journey, or the person might sacrifice themselves completely for the relationship and make the other person the center of their life. In this case, we have a woman who doesn't hesitate to walk away once she feels a relationship has run its course. So not only is Rahu here in the 1st house emphasizing her drive to follow her own path, but the Lagna Lord Saturn is in the 6th house, and the 6th house is D12 from the 7th house and indicates the loss of partner, and therefore the 6th house is associated with divorce. Now, when the Lagna Lord is in the 6th house, then the person themselves is the one to initiate a divorce, right? When the 7th Lord is in the 6th house, then the partner more likely ends the relationship. But here we have the Lagna Lord Saturn in the 6th house. And so when the relationship doesn't work anymore, then she is the one who tends to initiate a breakup. And so we got Rahu and Ketu across the 1st and 7th house axis, which is well known for giving 2 or more marriages. When we add the 1st Lord in the 6th house, which is another classic divorce combination, we see a strong indication that her love life will go through major ups and downs, particularly since Saturn, Rahu and Ketu are involved. These are the shadow planets that are known for bringing karmic connections that challenge us deeply. And when they are connected to the 7th house of partnerships, the 1st house of identity, and the 6th house of challenges, it's no surprise that her relationships are unlikely to last forever. And so when she was almost 15 years old, her Rahu Dasha began. And so in the D1, Rahu is aspected by the Sun from its natural enemy sign in Taurus, and this creates instability on her path. But then Rahu gets helped by Venus from its own sign, and this makes up for the Sun's malefic influence. But still, Rahu is unlikely to be smooth. Rahu is not manifested at all, and as a natural separator, it brings disruption and confusion to her path, right? During Rahu Dasha, she was not clear about the direction of her life. With Rahu here in the 1st house, she was also not able to rely on relationships for support because, Rahu is here in the 1st house, which is of course opposite Ketu in the 7th house. And since Rahu Dasha started so early in life, she was too young to fully understand herself and what, she was supposed to do. The D7 is about falling in love and finding someone that we can devote ourselves to and build a life together with. The most common thing that 2 people do when they get together is creating a family and having children. And so what are her chances for a happy family life? That is seen from her D7. Now usually the Varga charts, they reflect what we see in the main Rashi chart. Okay, it's not possible for the Varga charts to be completely different than the Rashi chart, right? The Varga charts are an extension of the Rashi chart. And so if you come to the conclusion that, let's say here the D7 is really bad, but then the love and marriage indications in the D1 are actually quite good, then better you go back to the D1 and double check, because probably you missed something important that really shows that their chances for a happy marriage are quite slim. So when we now look at the D7, we are not meant to see something dramatically different. Rather, we are going to see a more complete picture of the theme that we have already seen in the D1. And so right away here, we can see similarities in the D7 here, right? Rahu is here also in the 1st house, which shows that she is on the path of exploring who she is as a partner. And Rahu in the 1st house shows that she is confused about relationships because she doesn't know what role that she is supposed to play, and she is also confused about her own needs and desires in a relationship, right? And with Ketu here in the 7th house, that shows that she is overly focused on pleasing her partner while neglecting what is important for her. In Rahu Dasha, this will change. She will start to understand that the imbalance comes from her own lack of recognizing and honoring her feelings and needs. Of course, considering how young she is during Rahu Dasha, there will likely be several relationships that she needs to go through to learn her lessons and grow. But gradually, she will develop a new sense of self and understand more her role in the relationship. And then she can attract a partner who is more aligned with her own needs and goals. Not that, wow, this guy is cute and he has a great job and so I just want to be with him and I don't have to worry about myself or anything else. No, she needs to come to the conclusion that this is who I am and I need to find a guy that loves and respects me for who I am. And he appreciates me for what I contribute to the relationship, and then I will also be able to appreciate him for everything that he does. And so then they can actually be balance and harmony in the relationship. Here, Rahu is in the first house, making her restless and also obsessed about her relationship path. But as a separator, Rahu is making her dysfunctional and unpredictable in relationships. Right? Rahu is also aspected here by the Sun, who is the 12th Lord from Rahu and becomes a bigger separator. Rahu is aspected by Mars from its natural enemy sign, who is also here the 8th Lord. And so this Mars here becomes much more malefic in its nature. Ketu aspects Rahu from the 7th house, and that adds a theme of karmic endings to relationships. And so we can see that Rahu Dasha is a period of hardships and instability in relationships. Luckily, Rahu's Lord Mercury is in its own sign and in the powerful 10th house and is able to help Rahu out, at least to some degree. Mercury here is influenced by only malefic planets and doesn't get any support himself. And so overall it's hard to believe that the relationships in Rahu Dasha will last for an extended period of time. There's only one benefic planet that can help Rahu out, and that planet himself is under so much negative influence. And so as a result, in Rahu Dasha, this person had no stable relationship at all. They didn't get married, and they also didn't have any children during this time, which lasted from the age of 14 to 32. And so Rahu in the first house, in the D7 and D1, represents someone who is on the path of figuring out who they are in relationships. And there's just not enough auspicious influence to create stability and harmony in their relationships in Rahu Dasha. Now luckily, Rahu is here in its own sign dignity because of its Lord Mercury, who is in Gemini. And the 10th house here also adds a layer of manifestation. And so throughout Rahu Dasha, she maintained curiosity and an interest in getting involved with guys, although not one relationship lasted for more than a year or so. But she managed to be more or less always in a relationship during Rahu Dasha.